Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. My name is Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
And today we are talking about, and just like that, Season 3, Episode 3, entitled Carrie, Golighty.
Yes. So high level, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, I liked it, but I'm still confused about a lot of things, and I still feel like there's some things that we need to kind of stop doing.
Interesting.
Stop doing.
Okay. And what are those things?
Well, I mean, okay, like I didn't like what they did to poor Harry.
Yes, I did not like that at all. I think that was really...
They used to make Steve kind of the butt of those. Well, Harry too, but now Harry, he's like, his character is just devolved into this buffoon. Like,
yeah.
I mean, this man is a successful attorney.
Yeah, he's a senior partner at one of these
in New York City.
New York law firm. These guys are charging like $2,000 an hour now. That right. Someone was just telling me about how much people are billing, how much lawyers are billing in certain parts of the country. So yeah he's not a schlub.
No, he's not. And I didn't like that. Yeah. What else did I not like? Well, I really don't like what's happening with Carrie and Aiden.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. And
yeah, and we can talk more about it when we get there, but my question was, when I was watching this episode, was, but now you're showing us the same sort of dating crapola that these women went through in their 30s. And so the question I was asking myself was like, are you saying that if you're dating in your 50s, it's the same? It's like this is dating. I mean, my question was like, is this dating in your 50s? And that's the thing. If they really want to talk about dating and what it's like and all of that kind of stuff, this is not the situation. Like, this wouldn't be it. It would. I can see how, like, Carrie sort of, not necessarily competing with Aiden's kids, but like the dynamic of, right, you're in your 50s, you meet someone else who's in their 50s, they're divorced, you have kids, like they have kids, you have to be mindful and respectful of that, and those kinds of situations that'll come up. But this is such a weird thing that's so far from what I think what it would be like to date in your 50s. I would think that it would be right. The dynamics in these things, it would be different,
I don't think Carrie would be putting up with this shit. I mean, because the title of the episode, Carrie Golighty, she's trying to be easy breezy, cool girl. Oh, I'm okay with all of this. I'm okay with all of this. And no, you're not okay. No one would be okay with this. Is fucked up. Like, and what Aiden is asking you to do is wrong. What he is not. He got into a relationship with you, said he was going to move in with you, and then simply because there's one crisis with his child, he just scraps everything. He's not even trying to make both things work. And that's just unrealistic. I mean, if a man, look, he's divorced, like I'm sure he has 50% custody. Why can't he be with his kids 50% of the time? Because they don't all live together. He doesn't live, right?
Well,
I mean, do the kids go back and forth between he and his ex-wife? I don't know what's going on here.
The other part of it too is, isn't his oldest like 20? I mean, Wyatt is his youngest and he's 15.
He's 15.
So the oldest is 20, because we all met that baby 20 some odd years ago on the streets of New York City, Tate. Yes. And so Tate's got to be 2021. And when we get to the Carrie and Aiden stuff at the end, listen, I don't think Aiden's request of her, like, not being in the house, like not having his kids,
fine.
That's fine. I mean, that's a very respectful thing. But there's this other part of me. It's like, why is all three boys? I'm like, why is that oldest kid still at this? Why is he there?
And he doesn't have problems. So what? I mean, I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah, the whole dynamic is weird.
I'm starting to think that maybe Aiden freaked out. Maybe when this, all of a sudden he's back with Carrie, she's buying this big new place for him and his kids, and maybe he got freaked out and this thing with Wyatt came up and he used it as an excuse.
Yeah,
like, oh no, I can't do this,
So you think maybe this is how it's all going to end up, that he's finally going to come back and say, "You know what? I used it as an excuse."
Possibly.
Yeah, I
I don't
know. This
know.
this whole thing, but it doesn't say it doesn't say much about 50-year-old women. It doesn't say much about,
Yeah.
like, aren't you wanting to speak to what it's like to be at this age, which is where we are, and any other self-respecting 55, 56-year-old, how old, however old Carrie is in the series,
Mhm.
I just don't think would put up with this or be okay with this.
No.
And Miranda calling her out on it, Seema calling her out on it, like, that feels very real, but then they back away real quick. They kind of go, "Oh yeah, okay, sorry, sorry, sorry." It's a little bit like, I don't think they would be sorry, sorry, sorry. I think they would be sitting her down and going, "Yeah, this
Yeah.
isn't okay."
This isn't okay.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
who do we
where do we
start with? Who
start?
should we start with?
Well, okay, why don't we start with Charlotte?
Okay.
Because first of all, not only do I not like how they're using Harry, um, Charlotte's whole thing about how, she's not able to go to all these after work parties and stay out all night. And supposedly this is where art deals are being made at
Mhm.
after party clubs. I don't know, but and then she comes home and she's like, "I can't do anything. My career is suffering because I have to come home because I'm too busy being a wife and a mother." And everyone looks at her and it's like, "Go ahead, go. We don't need you here like every
Mhm.
minute of the day." And she's kind of doing that Charlotte thing where it's
Mhm.
like, "I have to do everything for everybody and nothing can happen without me." And she's, kind of a control freak. And her character just looks a little manic, she's just like,
Mhm.
"Ugh." And yeah, you don't need to but she doesn't want to go to the after parties, as we
Yeah.
can see. And then at the after she ends up making a big sale on her own simply through the connections that she has
Yes.
in the art world because she has been in this world for many, many years. And I'm sorry, these drunk Gen Xers, the gallerinas or whatever they call them, I
Mhm.
don't really think that, not Gen Xers, Gen Zers, I don't think that they're really, do you think they're really making art deals while they're snorting coke and
Yeah, I don't think they're making art deals then. I mean, I think that I understand. Did you listen to the companion
of
podcast?
course.
Yes, as Michael Patrick King talks incessantly.
Right, no,
Uh,
it doesn't let anybody else talk at all.
they actually had the writer Samantha Irby of this episode, and
Right.
she didn't even get to talk.
He kept interrupting her. She
Yeah.
was trying to explain why she wrote these
Mhm.
things or how she wrote it the way she did, and he just kept interrupting her
Mhm.
and mansplaining it.
Yeah.
It's like, "Dude, shut up. This woman actually wrote the episode."
Well, yeah, and also he would then come in with his take on it. And it's like, well, I don't think that's what she meant. Like, these aren't even aligned. I mean, I, I don't know. A lot of it felt this. I had mentioned before that I was really frustrated with Charlotte. Like, gave her like zero interesting storylines, and I said, right, it would be interesting. Charlotte's working again, balancing work and life, and
Mhm.
being a mom. Right. I think that's a great topic, and I think all of this is great. I think. But again, they are, I mean, maybe they're trying to go for too much of the comedy, too much of the jokiness of things, of the heightenedness of things. But I think that it would have been far more interesting to watch Charlotte try to figure out how to, you know, not necessarily like, I'm going to go clubbing all night, but how do I do this? Like, could this be the thing that spurs her on to like do less stuff for her kids, and
Mhm.
to like start to
Mhm.
maybe network, and maybe we see her going out to some networking dinners, and then that creates some problems for her the next day, and she has to figure out like, oh, I need to stop controlling things with my kids if I want to have more time for me over here. It's just the big sort of end point was, you know what, Charlotte, you don't need to be out clubbing. You
Mhm.
have lots of connections already. See?
Right.
And it's like, okay, but there's different ways we could have gotten there that are a little more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, cuz well, she and LTW are both sort of in this situation where they're trying to balance work life
Yeah.
and family life. And um I feel like, but didn't Charlotte, well, I guess she started going through it last season. But it's an ongoing process. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
you can't just do a storyline about that and wrap it up. I mean, yeah, it's an ongoing thing, and at a certain point, you have to say to your kids or your husband, "No, I can't do that." But her kids are actually saying to her, "We
Mhm.
don't need you here." I mean,
Yeah.
her kids are older. They can make their own dinner. They can order dinner. Their father can make them dinner. I don't
Oh,
know.
what a crazy idea that
What a
Harry does
crazy
it.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, and
but
then just having Harry like, "Yeah, me too. I'm not cool." Everyone thinks I'm a loser at work and blah 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 blah. I mean, I don't know. I for not for there are times where I think to myself like, "Oh god, I'm old." But never have I thought, "Well, no, I need to now change my wardrobe and start
mhm.
clubbing."
Right.
It just seems like a strange, weird reaction to what's happening. And then to make Harry the butt of the joke and
Mhm.
have him pee his pants, which
Mhm.
I'm telling you, if I really have to pee and I sneeze, it's happening. I mean, this is no joke
Well,
in
Harry
your
had 4.
50s.
Yeah, he had 4 drinks, and
Yeah.
he couldn't, and that's the thing, he was trying to look cool, and he had those stupid tight jeans on that he couldn't get off, and so he
Yeah.
peed his pants.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's a roundabout way of it's a lesson. It's like, don't
Yeah.
you don't go out and get the super tight pants
Or don't go clubbing
if you can't handle it. If you
or
can't
drink too
handle.
much.
Right. Well, it's more like if you can handle all that, great, do it.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's like he can't. He's, probably 60 years old and he's like it's been a long time since I had 4 drinks in a night, you know. This is tough for him. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just all of it was really kind of silly. Um, they could have done it very differently. Anyway, do you want to talk about Anthony? Because this Anthony stuff bothers me
yeah,
too.
you know what I'm bothered by with Anthony is that why are they making him they've basically made him a friend, he's part
Hmm.
of the group, but yet his storylines are still just all about dicks,
Yeah,
and it's like, why can't he be more of a serious? I mean, we love him, he's funny, whatever, but But why do we have to have a million hard dick jokes about the
yeah.
bread and the guy and these guys? They just are too soft, and only Giuseppe can bring in customers with it.
Hmm.
It's like this is really dumb. Okay,
Yeah.
like it's enough already. Why can't we get into his and Giuseppe's relationship? Why can't he become
Hmm.
more of a three-dimensional character?
Yeah, or keep him, he was introduced when he was Charlotte's, like wedding planner,
Mhm.
stylist, right? And he was great. Like that Anthony, and he was a good contrast for Charlotte.
Mhm.
Right? She wouldn't say the things, but he would say them.
Mhm.
And I do like their ongoing friendship. I do, he's having dinner there with Giuseppe, just
Mhm.
all of it. I do appreciate all of those pieces. But yeah, you either make him this character where we don't know much about his life and he's not involved at all and he's just like a joke, or
Mhm.
integrate him in. But you're right, he's sort of floating on this weird life raft somewhere
Mhm.
trying to figure out where to be, because the whole thing is he's upset that Giuseppe won't put on the outfit because I guess he's the most well hung. I mean, and that's the only reason why people will eat bread,
Right,
mind you.
because that's what I think of a baguette. I mean, come on.
But and then at the end, well, and Giuseppe wants to be seen, differently. He doesn't want to
As
put
a
on the outfit, which
person,
is, yeah,
yeah,
as a
a
person, which I
a
think is
poet,
completely reasonable.
yeah.
And he says no, and then it becomes this whole thing of like, well, you don't care about my business, and so basically he negs him into doing this thing that he doesn't feel comfortable.
Mhm,
Anthony makes him do this thing that he doesn't feel comfortable doing as a sign of I care about you, and
mhm,
it's like, okay,
yeah,
this is how, this is the only way you can show him that you care, or that you support his business. You can support. It would have been more interesting if Giuseppe did something else to support the business that aligned with who he was, or what he wanted, or what
mhm.
felt right to him. That's much more of a storyline,
Yeah, well, I wonder if they're gonna make this, the Hot Fellas Bakery, is this gonna be like their new coffee shop,
Oh, maybe.
where they all meet and talk um, so yeah, so and also what happens at the I don't know how if we should integrate this in now, but this is sort of a crossover between like the coffee shop and Charlotte and Carrie. so Aiden's ex-wife calls Carrie
Mhm.
because she needs Adderall
Yeah, for
for
Wyatt.
Wyatt because I guess there's this nationwide Adderall shortage, and you can get anything in New York.
Mhm.
And Carrie wants to, be a team player, and so she mentions this, and Charlotte's like, "Oh, I know exactly, what to do." And so
Mhm.
all these women from the school, the private school, LTW comes in with all of their friends, and Charlotte just goes up to the first mom she sees and says, "Do you have any extra Adderall?" I mean, what?
Okay, so I will say, as storylines go, this is very accurate. Not so much about the scoring Adderall at the bakery, but
Mhm.
there has been a nationwide shortage of ADD, ADHD meds.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I cannot tell you how many clients. It is so hard. I mean, it's so hard to get the meds. I've had clients who were driving 3 or 4 hours away here in California to get meds. I mean, especially the wives, I have a couple wives of ADD, like, they're like, "My husband
Mhm.
needs this." And so, I will say that that is not that is a very true storyline
Yeah,
about
no, I know
ADD
it's
and the
true.
and then, moms helping each other out and unfortunately, sort of this comment about, like, how many people are on these kinds of meds, these
Mhm.
shortages, how the healthcare system in our country, blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah.
I thought that was very right on.
Yeah, they said in the podcast that, yeah, this was from, one of Julie, was it Julie or Eliza? It was, a story from their real life, so yeah,
Mhm.
I know it happens, but,
Yes.
yeah, so that's the coffee shop, whatever they talk about. Now, at this point, did Carrie already know that she was gonna be going to Virginia? Did they talk about that
Yeah,
in
they
here?
did. We can pause all that. Let's go to Miranda or
Okay.
something. We don't, because the coffee shop stuff also, yeah. That's just Anthony was just in the scene. So, but Miranda doesn't have much to do, but it was kind of interesting. I mean, she we see her we see her being Miranda, which is very right when they're in the coffee shop talking about her going to Virginia to see Aiden. We get Charlotte, of course, is like, how romantic, and
Mhm.
Miranda is like, oh yeah, this boyfriend that you can't call,
Right.
the same
You're
one.
you're gonna have to leave the state to go visit him, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, snarky, sarcastic Miranda is back.
Yes, which I
Yeah.
like. I
I
like
like
that
her.
Miranda.
Yeah, me too.
But what I also wondered about Charlotte was, wouldn't Charlotte evolve a little bit? Like, would Charlotte be this, yay? Oh, that's so great. Isn't that romantic?
Yeah, she hasn't evolved much in that area where she just, yeah, is
I
just
don't
a
know.
little
It just makes
delusional.
me, again, it's just the talk always was in the original series that the other three women were caricatures. They all kind of fit in archetype, or
Mhm.
and they sort of had to fit into that. And um but it still doesn't feel like, is this really who, do they still need to be these archetypes?
Mhm.
Because you don't even have all the original cast, but okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, we see her, and then we see her assembling this cat tree with Carrie, and she talks about how and again, she doesn't feel comfortable asking this woman out. So what she does is she asks her to go to happy hour with her so she can get help on camera techniques. And so again, right, you're a 50 some odd year old woman, and you
Right.
have to pretend not to want the thing that you want. No one can ask for what they want.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah,
what
that's
they were
true.
talking about, why it's Carrie go lightly, everyone go lightly, everyone kind of
Yeah.
tiptoe
Tiptoeing lightly, yeah.
lightly. And I just don't, okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought their scene was interesting. I mean, and the whole thing was, she just tells her to breathe. So they touch each other's chests and breathe together,
Yeah,
you
who
know.
knows where that's going because, Miranda keeps having these relationships where they end up just kind of tanking
Mm.
for some reason or another, but
Well,
see.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think people like this character much more than Che. I think part
Oh
of it was
god,
Che
yes.
wasn't well liked, so Che had to go. I mean, I think that was, and it just, again, too many characters.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I was watching this going, is this what this is dating? This is being single in your 50s? Like these two? Anyhow. But yeah. Okay. Who should we talk about now? You
Um,
want to talk about LTW?
sure.
So I thought that LTW's storyline in this story was much more, I think, a much more interesting and um perspective on being a working mom.
Mhm.
And this idea of working, working moms versus women who choose not to have children,
Mhm.
and these differences, because we learned that her editor, who's been helping her, I guess the editor's name is Grace, who's been helping LTW for 8 years on this documentary,
Mhm.
got this amazing offer to work with Steve McQueen, who I couldn't remember. Who is Steve McQueen? I mean, I know the original Steve McQueen, the first Steve McQueen, that
You
actor
know,
from way back when, but
I
I
know
was like, what,
he's
who is this Steve McQueen?
he's a Academy Award winning director, but I can't think of what.
Hold on, I gotta search this.
Yeah, let's see.
Steve
Steve McQueen,
McQueen.
director.
Yes, here we go. Is he British?
Wait, Steve
Oh,
McQueen.
he's won a bunch of awards. Oh, 12 Years a Slave.
Okay.
I guess that's one of his movies, 12 Years a Slave. So that's how, okay, that's probably how he's nominated and all that.
Yeah, so,
Oh, wait, yeah, Academy Award for Best Picture. Is that for 12 Years a Slave? I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't remember that
Um,
winning. I know it was nominated.
oh, lordy. Okay, now I'm going down rabbit holes, but yes. So
Anyway.
he's a very accomplished, very, very well known, very accomplished. And it's a great opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity. And she says, I'm going to take it. And LTW's
Mhm.
pissed and hurt and mad and storms off. And then we see her later on, um, smashing potatoes, which I think in that podcast, The Writer's Room, God, they just love themselves. I mean, Michael Patrick King's the one that really loves himself, because they think it's so brilliant that, the way in which she would take out her anger is mashing potatoes. I'm just
Yeah.
again, it's a trope. It's like a no, this isn't how people are.
Yeah. And then I again like and then Herbert comes in and, again, he's saying all these things to her to try to help her put all this in perspective and see it from Grace's point of view. And but yet again, Herbert, you never had to stop your career.
Mhm.
It's easy for you to say when, this woman stopped her career to have your child, because he talks about when the
Mhm.
youngest girl was born. And I was just like, God, I felt for her, because it she shouldn't take it out on Grace, obviously.
No,
But
and I think he gave her good perspective. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's like it's still she's the one who had to bear the brunt of all this, and her career suffered. And Herbert,
Mhm.
he's rising to the top. He's running for comptroller.
Yes.
I
Yes,
can't
he
wait.
is.
Are we ever going to get to that election? Are we
Oh
ever going to
gosh, I don't know. That's a
get
good
to see,
question.
get to see the election results? Um,
Yeah, there's
so
also, I mean, and that's the other part of it, right? If they wanted to make a statement about women and the sacrifices and all of that, why couldn't she then say, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I did have to stop 8 times, or like I
mhm.
stopped many times. It has taken me 8 years because of exactly what you're talking about, because I didn't, I've had to do these things, not you. And I think that this, but when it comes to like working women and how you perceive things, I thought this was a much better representation of that versus Charlotte's.
Right.
This felt to me like much more of something, because yeah, I mean, LTW would be, sometimes you can hear it and it's okay, but other times, like, yeah, she's mad and she's upset and she's worried and she's all these things, and then she gets mad, and then she needs a couple days, and then she comes back in and she apologizes and makes amends, and tells her she appreciates her, and it's all good, which is exactly what I think more is much more of how people handle these things.
Yeah, she
But
did
yeah.
kind of have a little bit of a toddler fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So And again, the back and forth. And Samantha Irby talked about this too, because she was the writer, and I guess Samantha doesn't have children. And just talking about how, right, like that's, a lot of times there's many more concessions are made for women who have children, and versus
Mhm.
when you choose not to have children. I think what she was saying is Grace's character, she was being respectful of LTW, and kind of like anytime it paused, she was like, okay, fine, I'll do something else or whatever. She had been on LTW's timeline for a long time, and I get
Yeah.
that. Like she's trying to say that she deserves to have her own
Yeah.
timeline and do things the way she wants
No,
to.
I'm
But
I'm team Grace.
yeah, I mean, I'm with it, but again, it's just these silly things they make these women do, like the smashing of the potatoes and the and the
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of overkill sometimes.
Okay, I feel like all I'm doing is complaining. But yeah, the next thing I need to talk about is Seema, because I I'm dead serious when I say this. Seema confuses me.
Mhm.
I don't understand her. I don't
I don't
really
either.
understand. I don't get her. And there's times where you see her and she's delivering these lines, and you're like, it's a very Samantha line, but she's not Samantha.
Mm-mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and in some ways, the thing is that you know that everyone's going, when you create new characters, everyone's going to be looking for Samantha. They're going to be looking and looking and looking for that person. And so obviously, right, Seema becomes the most clearest sort of parallel to Samantha. And but they've put her in this weird place where she's kind of sort of like Samantha sometimes, but she doesn't have Samantha's, you know, some of the confidence, but not all of the confidence.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and just the way the lines kind of are, kind of hit. I believe this. She's a very good actress. I'm not criticizing this actor and her ability to act, because she's excellent. I just don't know if anybody knows who Seema really is, and I think that's the problem. Like, I just don't think anyone could really. Who is she?
Yeah, I don't think she knows who she is because she's very indecisive.
Mhm.
She is not super confident, even though she acts like, she
Yeah.
comes off superficially, but she's not. This whole episode, she's just questioning, everything, and she just doesn't seem confident in her abilities, and to leave this decision to a quote unquote sign from the universe because you
Mhm.
ran over, you backed up, or when you weren't supposed to back up. I mean, that is so cheesy and trite, And again, like
Mhm.
like I'm trying to think that the only time Samantha ever kind of wasn't true to herself, or remember when she was with that guy Richard,
Yeah,
and
and she
she
realized it
yeah,
too.
and she knew he was cheating, and
Mhm.
but she couldn't quite, put her finger on it, and she knew she shouldn't be with him, and she couldn't quite put her finger on it. And then the minute she caught him with this other woman, she was like,
Mhm.
I knew it, that's it, whatever. I mean, yeah, she's no Samantha.
No.
That's for sure. And I don't know, the way that whole thing came down was weird. Why would this guy who they were they had this agreement that when he retired, she could buy him out. He
Mhm.
basically reneged on that, didn't give her any time to notice or time to put in an offer or come up with the money, and then he
Yeah.
just sells his shares to Ryan Serhan, you
Yeah,
know?
and also even the language was weird. Okay, this whole thing. So we hear from Michael Patrick King. This is how this comes up, that he had someone in his life that retired and he was 90 years old. And
Mhm.
so, but what's so weird about this is she's like, "You're 90? Like, you didn't, of course you know how old this guy is. Like,
Mhm.
you're his business partner. You have some sense of that." And yeah, you give him no warning. And then one of the questions is, he says to her, um, well, she's like, "I thought we were doing this in a couple years." And he's like, "Oh, well, are you prepared to make me an offer?" And she's like, "No, I thought I had more time." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, guess what? I already sold the place." It's like, why are you asking her if she was
Right.
prepared to make an offer? Like,
Right.
that makes no sense. I was so annoyed by that. I'm like, and then I'm sorry, the way Michael Patrick King talked about Ryan Serhan, of like, and top real estate, if we're going to talk about top real estate, you're going to pick some guys. I'm sure he's very successful in New York. I am sure, but you're going to pick a Bravo celebrity
Right.
to represent like what is hip and happening in New York of New York real estate. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Ryan's, I mean, maybe I have a different perception of it, but we know this guy because he's on a cable show.
Right.
This is the height of class
Yeah.
and ooh,
No, none of this made any sense, and
and it's very weird.
it's very weird. So,
And
yeah,
even her
so
reaction to everything, even Seema's reaction to stuff is it's weird.
mhm.
It's like she's sort of she's obviously confused and perplexed, and then and wait, she's questioning it, and it's like, well, you know what I'm going to do? Just her response. It's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm leaving. I'm taking a vacation, and then just grabbing the bottle. Like again, that feels like a very Samantha-y thing to do, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like
Mhm.
this same woman, I don't think would do that.
Also,
That's
did they not have a written contract about
yeah. That's
obviously
also a very
not.
good point.
He just, yeah, sold it out from under her. If she had an option to buy him out, then he couldn't have done that. So,
Hmm.
yeah, all around it's odd. And so
Yeah.
now she's has a lot of free time, and so she, is gonna tag along with Carrie to Virginia.
And then we see her pull outside and she meets Adam that we met
Mhm.
last episode. And obviously, they're flirting and there's something, there's some chemistry
Mhm.
there and there's something between them. And then I was thinking to myself, so is this the guy that they're going to have Seema end up with? It's like, so again, this is Samantha kind of sorta. Like the whole thing with Samantha and why the whole Smith thing worked so well was this was a woman who did not want to, didn't want a relationship, burned by Richard,
Mhm.
who was this older guy, and then meets this young guy that like sweeps her off her feet and like treats her the way she wants to be. She that's what was so great about Smith and that character and all of that. So I'm like, is Adam now gonna be like Smith for Seema? Is
Ugh.
this what's gonna happen? And they did admit, on the Writers Room podcast that obviously, they know it's a very common thing, which is they're eyeing each other. Seema says, I don't want anyone with dirt under their nails. And now we all know that, of course, the guy with the dirt under the nails, she's going to end up with him.
Mhm. Yeah, because at
But
first I thought they were bringing him in for Carrie, but
yeah,
now,
that's what I think everyone thought.
yeah, now that Seema's gonna get a crack at him.
Yeah. Well, it would be really interesting if they both made out with him. Now that's
Oh.
an episode.
They're fighting
Why?
over
What? What
Adam the
if?
gardener.
What if they both have feelings for him? That might
Yeah,
be interesting. We've never seen that. So anyway,
yeah,
um,
cool.
so yeah, and then my other question is, why are they flying coach? Did you notice that there was a scene in
Well,
between them?
yeah, but it's a very short plane ride, isn't it, from
I guess so, but I
New
just feel like
York to Virginia?
Seema, who is driven around by a driver, which
Yeah.
puts you on a certain, you have to make a lot of money to be at that level. Isn't gonna isn't is gonna want to fly coach, but okay. Um, and so yeah, and then this is the whole thing. She goes back and forth of I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I will say that when I was studying for my licensing exam to be a therapist, I actually ran over. I did that once. I
Oh,
went into the I
no.
remember it so distinctly. Like my mind was in a million different places, and I
Yeah.
had to get money, and I went right into it. And like I had to get 2 new tires. It was terrible.
Oh.
It was terrible. It was just one of those things where it was just like the minute you do it, you
Yeah.
realize it but I was moving so fast. But again, I mean, you also knew that those spikes were going to come back of like how much time they were spending on that
Oh,
sign that
yeah,
said
yeah.
don't back up. So
Y
anyhow, yeah.
yeah, and of course, Carrie, I guess, hasn't driven since, 2017. I thought that was funny. Do you
All
remember
right.
do you remember the time when we went to Disneyland with dad and we went to rent a
Yes.
car and his
Yes.
license was expired
Yes.
and we had to, like, take a taxi cab, this is
To the
long,
DMV
to the
in LA.
DMV in LA, and I don't somehow this would never happen today.
Mhm.
Somehow he was able to to renew his license and get another get something, whatever, enough to
Mhm.
rent the car within, like, a couple hours.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do remember that cuz I remember, but I don't understand why her stepmother didn't just. Why didn't
She
she? They
didn't
just
have her
rented a.
license with why couldn't she?
Yeah, why couldn't she do it? Because she was of age. I mean,
She
she
was
could
for over
drive.
16. I don't know. Maybe her license was expired too, or I think maybe she didn't bring her license. She
Oh
didn't
my
have it on
God.
her.
And this is the other thing too, right? Which is that in the world that we live in today, this was pre 9/11.
Yeah,
This
you didn't
was
need
like,
it for the flight.
you didn't need it for the flight
Mm-mm.
at all. I mean, and it's so crazy. I flew a couple days before that, the deadline for the real ID, and I
Mhm.
didn't have a real. It was coming in the mail. It had just gotten to me. I just didn't switch it out yet. And I swear to God, every single person that checked it was like, "Do you know the real ID?" I mean, we don't mess around now anymore. So it was a different time.
It was a different it was a
It
very
was a very
different
different
time.
time.
This is like 1980 or something.
All right. So let's do the Carrie and Aiden. Now, one of the things about this show that makes me a little crazy is, so she has this agent who she is going to have this meeting with, and the agent wants to tell her about all these offers that she has. And these offers are like, I can't even tell you. You want to just scream, because I know this is a show, but at the same
Mhm.
time, like, to speak at Google, that's huge. That is like
Mhm.
every author, like anybody in my little thought leadership world, this is the dream. The dream. South by Southwest panel
Right.
for someone to interview, dream. And then she mentions, oh, this nothing thing in Virginia. And it's like, oh my God, this is so sad. Like, Carrie now is pretending
Mhm.
that
That she's
well,
going to
maybe
some literary conference, like
in
she really wants
Virginia.
to go to. Yeah.
And so, and this is the sad thing, is like, this is how pathetic this is that she has to wait till she's going to turn down all these other amazing offers, things that are really cool,
Mhm.
that are, I don't know, I think someone like her might want to
Yeah,
do.
why isn't she going to those as well?
Yes.
Why did she
Yeah.
turn them down even before she knew about Virginia?
Well, and then Samantha Irby talks about how, like, oh, well, when you're a writer, you get these, they want you to do these book tours, and they're pushing this stuff and blah blah blah. I just want to say something. I mean, I don't know who Samantha Irby's agent is, but any writer that I talk to at all, I mean, you have to be at the top
Mhm.
to have someone who's pushing this kind of stuff. Usually it's the writer themselves that are
Mhm.
desperate to get on all of these
But
things.
Carrie, she's easy breezy.
Yes,
She's too
and she's just so
cool.
famous. She's so famous. She's
Yeah.
so
She's
important.
also
She's
rich, so,
Yeah,
she's not worried about working to eat. I mean, God, her character can be so annoying sometimes.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like, you've always wanted to make her a writer, and a serious writer, someone who,
Right.
it's like, no, I don't know. I just feel like, why couldn't this be a tour? I mean,
Mhm.
it's pathetic. It
Yeah.
feels pathetic to me.
It is pathetic, and it's so pathetic that she can't even she has to use this as an excuse to go have lunch with Aiden. She can't just say, can I see you? Can we
Mm,
She can say I love you, but she can't say can I, come see you.
hmm.
What the hell? I mean, this and everyone is just kind of perplexed by it. Like,
Yeah,
because it is perplexing. It makes no sense.
yeah,
So Seema's going to
um,
go with her now because
yeah. And then when in the coffee shop where they're talking to her about this, Charlotte's all happy, and then Miranda, of course, is skeptical, and it's that same thing. Like, she's afraid to say anything. She doesn't,
Mhm.
oh, I don't want to stay. She's afraid to ask. And even in the conversation when they were putting together the cat tree, right? She's like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give Aiden a key, because Adam, the gardener, and Miranda now, who's sitting, the two of them now have keys, but Aiden doesn't have a key to her house. And oh, I mean, this is just getting sadder and
It's
sadder.
pathetic.
It's
It's
getting more and more
pathetic.
pathetic. It
Yes.
really is.
She's looking like the biggest loser. I mean, like, and Aiden, I'm so confused. Like, Aiden set this up this way, and she's just playing into it and just going
Hmm.
along with it, and she doesn't want to upset him. But yet, when he just feels like it, he'll pick up the phone and call her, or just show up in her house
Hmm.
and scare her.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's supposed to she's literally waiting by the phone,
Mhm.
waiting by the door.
Yeah. So she has to use this is, I mean, like, really, this is a 50, I mean, she's a beautiful woman, smart, funny, has her own money, has an exciting life. She is living in New York
Mhm.
City. She could have the gardener, so many other options.
Mhm.
And she is waiting for an excuse to visit her boyfriend, to present him with a key to a house that she purchased for him, that he then told her but she can't call him anytime she wants, and she's afraid to ask him. And
Mhm.
even in the end, they don't even have her ask him. He asks her. Again, waiting for a man. Just
Yeah.
waiting for a man to say something. I've got to do all these cute things to get this man to pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And this place where the, literary conferences,
Yeah.
it's not, well, it turns out to only be, I guess, 20 minutes from Aiden. But, yeah, that she's thinking it's more than 20, she's thinking it's, like, a couple hours away or something, so
Yeah.
she's willing to rent a car and get in a car and drive a couple hours just to go have lunch with him.
Hmm.
How desperate. I mean,
Well, also, but I think the thing was that the conference was a few hours away, but the place that they were meeting for lunch was only 20 minutes from where Aiden
mm,
lived. I don't know. All of it's
I don't
weird. Like,
know.
but then wouldn't you see this on a map? Like,
Yeah,
it's just so
don't you have
weird. I
Google
mean,
Maps? I mean,
yeah, wouldn't you know that? And then, of course, it's this, I mean, I think the Michael Patrick King was talking about how, like, oh, how wonderful that scene was of the two of them eating chicken on the
Kentucky
bed.
Fried Chicken.
And it's just watching these 2 women eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's just like,
They would never.
they would never, and also, it was just the way they were eating it, they couldn't, it's just, they're trying to be dainty, and
Mhm.
I don't know. Ugh. But I think she did, I mean, I think she made a very good point, which is Seema made a very good point, which is, like, maybe he's not asking you because you're being so goddamn easy breezy,
Mhm.
you know? Ugh. But then Aiden asks her to stay, and
Well,
then,
he has to come pick them up
oh, yeah,
because
that's right.
of the
That
tire
he popped the
incident.
tires, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he asks her, so when she went to stay at his guest house, where was Seema? Where was she staying?
No,
Was
well,
she back
she
at
went
the
home. She said, "Drop me off at the airport," and that's when they
Oh,
realized, like,
okay.
"Oh, crap, we forgot to take our luggage out of the rental car." So the
Mhm.
sense that I get is, I thought at least they got the luggage, but I guess they didn't. But I guess maybe it looks like they dropped Seema off at the airport, let her go, and then he drives her, Carrie, back to his compound, ranch, whatever, and
Mhm.
tells her, my kids and I, we have this thing where we talk about what we're going to do the night before the next day, so nothing's a surprise. Which, this whole thing, I have a kid that you have to give, like, my kid needs a lot of warning. You can't just
Mhm.
walk up and say, we're
Well,
leaving the house to do this thing. You got to tell them in
any
advance.
kid, if you wake up in the morning and there's some strange woman you've never met before,
Yeah,
like sleeping in your dad's bedroom, I mean,
that is
yeah,
weird.
that would be completely inappropriate. So that was the right thing, but it's like you kind of felt. I mean, there's Carrie in her little guest house. Yes, she
Hmm.
doesn't have her luggage. She's just got whatever
She's got her laptop,
and so
and that's it.
she breaks out and starts writing, this new historical fictional novel or whatever she's writing.
Well, and I would think that at least, like, Aiden would hang out with her a little bit. I would even think that Aiden would stay in there with her until 5 a.m. and then he would get up and go into his own house or something. I
Yeah.
mean, seemed like, what, you're just going to ditch. You're like, are all your kids up now? I mean,
Well, if one of them got up in the middle of the night or early and he wasn't there,
and
but again,
yeah.
we're talking about a 15-year-old. Like, if your son woke up, and how long would it take him to notice that you were not at home?
Well, day or two. I mean, because our bedroom door is closed. He is not, I mean, sometimes he will come into our room. I mean, he has to be very, very sick or something bad. I mean, but he has
Mhm.
not come into our bedroom in the middle of the night for many years,
Mhm.
many, many years. So he certainly is not going to just barge into our room. Most likely, right? He gets up, he goes to the bathroom, he goes to the
Mhm.
kitchen, and then he's back in his room. He's barely paying attention to me. He barely listens. My son barely listens to me half the time. So that's the thing. I think these three boys are like, my son always has headphones on. He's
Mhm.
always walking around with headphones. So
Yeah, I really need more intel on these kids. I need to
Yeah, I
know
need to meet them,
I
all 3 of them.
I need to know their ages. I
Mhm.
need to know what they're doing. I
Is
need
Tate
to
in
know
college?
the
What's
extent
going
of
on?
Wyatt's problems. I kind of think they're not as bad as Aiden is
Mhm.
making them out to be if he's on his medication and he's probably fine. I mean, I I just get this feeling that Aiden has cold feet. He's using this as an excuse. He's trying to figure out what to do. He's gotten
Mhm.
in too deep. He came back, he got divorced. He's lonely. He called up Carrie. I think he made some excuse why he was in New York.
No, 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 she emailed him to
She did?
say, "Hey" yeah, she emailed him, and then they decided to meet.
Because he said he was going to be in town
Yes.
for
And maybe he
something,
made up that excuse, but she
allegedly.
was the one that reached out first. I mean,
Okay. I've
she is.
forgotten all that, but yeah, but still, I think the
Yeah.
story is still I think that's still a possibility. I think he got really caught up and swept up and he didn't think the whole thing through. I
Mhm.
think that his ex-wife counts on him much more. Maybe I mean, maybe she really counts on him for help, with all kinds of different things, childcare
Mhm.
or, whatever. But I mean, again, these aren't little kids. I just need to know so much more
Yeah.
about these kids.
Well, one thing that we didn't mention that was really interesting was when Carrie presents the baggie full of Adderall to
Mhm.
Aiden. Aiden looks at it and he has this really pissed look on
Like
his face.
he didn't, yeah,
So
didn't know about
it's
it.
well, or he knew about it and he was so it's like, are you mad that Kathy called Carrie, which I can understand, maybe feeling a little bit like she overstepped, or
Mhm.
are you pissed because your kid's on Adderall and are you and Kathy not on the same page with
Right. Maybe
which
he
is
doesn't
also
know. Yeah, he's against it and
yeah.
she's got him on Adderall behind his back or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't think that the Kathy would be, like, then telling I mean, I think she would then tell Carrie, like, "Don't tell Aiden,
Right,
give it to
right.
me." So, it's weird, it's so that was very odd too, so right, like, I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't wait to see next week and what happens when she wakes up the next day. I mean, like
Yeah,
what is going to happen at that farmhouse? I
yeah,
think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen with Seema and the plant guy.
mhm. Yeah,
In-
I don't know, I mean, I
Interesting.
do enjoy I mean, I feel like all I did was bitch
Well,
about it, but
because we have high standards, we want a lot for these characters.
yes,
We're
we
very
want a lot
invested.
and expect a lot, yes,
Yes.
and very invested, that is true, and I'm not saying all of it is bad. I know I'm happy to see a show that's about women my own age, like all of those things, but at the same time, I just I really feel like they're doing us dirty. I feel like they're making right? Like shouldn't if she's in her 50s now, shouldn't she not do exactly what she did with Big? Cuz
Yeah.
Aiden is being big right now,
Yeah,
big time.
She's
Yeah.
tiptoeing around him.
And that
And
doesn't feel like who Aiden is, and it doesn't feel like someone who's been through everything that she's been through
mhm.
is going to put up with this.
I think she's just at a point where it's just like not again, not again. I think she's in some denial.
Mhm.
Um but again, she moved too fast. I don't know why she bought that property
Mhm.
so quickly and, got rid of the apartment. Even with Big, at least she kept the apartment.
Yeah, she doesn't need to I mean, she didn't need to sell the apartment. She could have rented it to that woman. I mean, it's
Mhm.
like you could be a landlord or something.
I mean, did Aiden put any money down on this? I kind of sort
No.
of doubt
No.
it, even
He
though she
doesn't even have
keeps.
a key, Brooke. He doesn't even have a
But
key.
I mean, prior to that, did he put any money towards
No.
the
No.
the down payment, or did she pay cash for this? I mean, what is going on? I need more details.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was all part of. I had this theory that at the end of last season that someone had shared with me, which is like, what if this was all a big fu from Aiden to make her get rid of her apartment, this apartment that she loved,
Right,
because like I'm going to come back into her life, I'm going to make an excuse of why I can't be, and then
right.
I'm going to make her sell it.
But
I
then
mean,
he did come back, but I think she'd already bought the other place. Remember, he came
yeah,
back that
no,
last night and went upstairs.
yeah, because he basically right. She just moved in. They were in contract.
Right. Yeah.
They're in contract. And that's where they were at. I don't know. All of it. It's like, God, do better with these women. Do better. I think that's what my frustration is. But maybe I'm alone. Maybe I'm alone. Maybe people have different ideas, but
Well, here's the thing is that there's a disconnect sometimes I feel between the writing and the directing. I think these writers are trying, but I think that Michael Patrick King, I think he does change things. And then ultimately he's directing how these scenes go and how it comes off. And I think that a lot of the times when things come off as being cringy, it's because of his direction.
You think he told Aiden to lick his hand?
Yes. Yes, I don't think that was
John Corbett
was written in the episode. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, we love it. We love it anyway. We'll never stop.
Sure we love. It's hard to tell, but yes.
No, we will never quit this show.
Yeah.
Ever,
never, ever. But
we have grown up with it. It is our North Star.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us for And Just Like That. And if you want more of us, we also have another show on Thursday where we cover documentaries, we cover trials. Like I think we're going to be covering doing a show about the second Karen Reed trial coming up here soon. We're just still talking about pop culture and this and that. So also, if you want to support the podcast, please subscribe. You can also give us a 5-star rating and review. That would really help the podcast grow. We have a Patreon if you want even more content. We do a bonus episode every week. You can get the free episodes ad-free. We do on the higher tier, we do a monthly true crime episode and a monthly Ask Us Anything episode. We are on all the socials. We are on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on YouTube. Yes, please come back.
All right. Sounds good. Yes. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.